Hey there, Disney fans, dreamers, park pros, a curious cast of characters. Welcome to the very first episode of Ears to Debate. It's a short form podcast where we're going to get real about the magic and the mayhem of all things Disney. I'm your host, Jessica, just another Disney lover who's not afraid to admit that sometimes I absolutely love what's going on in the parks, and sometimes I have questions, big ones. Whether it's a new ride, a resort innovation, the latest character updates, Disney movies, Disney is constantly evolving. And with that change comes opinions. And that's where this mini simplified podcast comes in. The show is about a space for open, honest, and respectful conversations, a place where we can celebrate what makes Disney so beloved while still voicing our opinions or questions about things that's happening. Let's face it, loving Disney doesn't mean that you love everything. So whether you're a longtime annual pass holder or someone planning your first trip, your voice matters. So the goal for what this podcast is going to be, it's a short form podcast, and it's going to be snappy, thoughtful, and packed with hot takes. The kind that won't get you banned from Facebook groups. So I'm going to start off by hosting solo, but I'm hoping to bring on some fellow Disney fans in future episodes. So if you're passionate about the parks and you are up for a good debate, I would love to hear from you. Down below, I'm going to be posting a link where you can fill out a quick form to request to be a guest on an upcoming episode. If you've ever wanted to share your Disney highs and lows with a bigger audience, this is going to be your shot. So today is the very first episode, and today I'm going to be covering 3 fun topics that fans are currently loving or hating. I'll share my honest thoughts and want to hear yours too. So after you've listened, head down to the comments below and go ahead and share reactions. Be kind, but be real. Tell me why you feel the way you do and how you might make an adjustment to what has already happened. So my goal is that this community is going to work best if we can engage in each other thoughtfully, politely, and obviously I'll be monitoring conversations. So let's go ahead, grab your ears, get some popcorn, get that Mickey bar, and let's go ahead and dive into episode 1 of Ears to Debate. So our first topic is going to be mobile ordering at Disney World. Love it or hate it, right? Or you can say like-ish. So basically what mobile ordering is, and I'll give you a little history on it. So mobile ordering is a feature that's located within the My Disney Experience app that allows you to order and pay for food and drinks at many quick service restaurants around Walt Disney World and across the resort even, because you can get it at the hotels too. And you can get it all from your phone. Now, the goal is that it will reduce wait times by letting you skip the traditional ordering line. Now, we are talking right now about mobile ordering specifically at Walt Disney World. Disneyland has its own interesting moments as well. So we'll potentially put that one on a future podcast. So I'm here. So how it works. So step by step, obviously you're going to go into the app. You're going to choose that you want to order food. You're going to go ahead and pick a restaurant from the list of participating location. Typically, those are your quick service. And it'll show you all of the food that's available. You're going to go ahead and select your arrival time. So, the big thing that people run into is that time slots fill up quickly during peak hours. So be sure to plan ahead. You can customize your food, so you can add customizations like sides or allergy-friendly options, and then you can pay right in the app. When you're closer to the location that you're going to be eating at, you can click I'm here, prepare my order, and then they'll go ahead and start to prepare your order. Once it's ready, you'll get notified, and you can go ahead and pick up your food at one of the mobile counters. So it's at the Magic Kingdom, so example like Cosmic Rays, Pecos Bills, Epcot, Connections, Eatery, Hollywood Studios, Woody Lunchbox, ABC Commissary, Animal Kingdom. You might find it like Flame Tree Barbecue, etc. Disney Springs has a couple of limited locations, and then resorts like Wilderness, Contemporary, Polynesian, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and throw out a couple of things and how I feel out about it. So one of the things that I love about being able to order that way I have 2 kids, and they are constantly hungry when we're in the parks. And so I really like to be in line for a ride. I can order them something knowing that as soon as we get done with the ride, it's ready to go or it's on its way. We can go ahead and plan things ahead of time. So, like I said, we'll do that while we're riding attractions and stuff. Um, Sometimes I have one picky eater, so she constantly asks for, oh, can we take this off? Can we add that? So I like that I can do that on there. The other thing I really like is that I can do it while everybody is sitting down. So we can go find a place to sit, for example. We can have the discussion of what do you want to eat? Because I don't know about you, but with me, my kids love them, but we will get in line to order food. And every time they will stop and say, Mom, what are we ordering? What are we ordering? And I'm like, okay, we're up there. We got to order with the person. Please tell me what you want. And so I feel like for me, especially with the kids, it's easier to be able to, say, all right, look, here's a picture of it. Is that what you want? And we can plan instead of backing up the line for other people who might maybe only be, like if my husband and I were just there, we're going to know what we want. Kids might not. The other thing I really like about being able to order that way is I will sometimes go on and get like a Target card, like a Target Disney card, like gift card. Then I save the little couple of, 5% or whatever from Target. And I'm able to actually pay for it using that. So I really like that because I don't have to have a whole bunch of cash and I don't have to pull out any credit cards while I'm on the trip, right? So I can literally just have a couple of Target cards that are random that I feel more confident with, that people aren't going to get into, any farther than, maybe stealing a gift card, right? So I think that's nice. I like the fact that it's fast. I think sometimes it's a little frustrating, or it could be, because time slots will fill up. I mean, I run into that sometimes, and that's frustrating. But for the most part, I don't know. I think depending on where you're from, time zone wise, I feel like it's not horrible. I haven't had a lot of glitching or issues with it. I've talked to other people who've said it's froze up or the app has crashed. I mean, somebody who works in tech, I would say probably just make sure you've updated the Disney app before you head down to Florida for vacation. I think it could be overwhelming for first-time users because I know the parks really well. I know where the restaurants are. I kind of know what my family likes to eat. I think if you were going for the first time, it could be really frustrating. And I can only imagine, like, my husband's parents going, who don't really know the parks that well. I could see them getting really frustrated with it because they like the idea of being able to, order and then wait. But I think the idea of having to go through the phone and do all of that, I don't know if they would like that. So I think, all in all, I would love to hear from you. How do you feel about being able to do mobile ordering at Disney World? Do you think that it's overdone? Be sure to comment down below, and then maybe start your comment down below with mobile ordering and then dash and then put in your thoughts on it, just so that we can kind of keep everything together. Because I have 2 more topics that we're going to be sharing, but I want to hear you, like, do you have a horror story from mobile ordering? I'd love to hear that. Do you have a really amazing, outstanding cast member who went above and beyond about mobile ordering? I would love to hear that too. So comment that all down below and let's get this conversation started. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 2. All right. Second one we're going to talk about. Now this one could get interesting. I thought the food one was sort of a nice kind of introduction. But let's go ahead and hear what you think about this one. I can't wait to hear how everyone feels. I know how I feel. And again, there's no right or wrong, no love or hate. I think with having something like Disney, I think obviously there is so much that goes into it that it's hard not to have such strong feelings, especially when it is one of your favorite places to go. I've been going there since I was little. And I think, for me, some of these come from my childhood memories. Although I do know that obviously, they're getting ready to start rebranding things to the next generation. And it's just interesting. It's interesting to hear, it's interesting to think about. So let's go ahead and topic number 2. Let's dive into limited theming in the resort redesigns. So this one for me, it has really, for me, I don't know. I am a Wilderness Lodge. I absolutely love the Wilderness Lodge. And for me, one of those things is that theming. I love to go there and to be immersed in all of that. So obviously, when I say limited theming, it refers to the trend of redesigning resort rooms and public areas with more of a modern, minimalistic, hotel generic, I guess we could call it, maybe, at the expense of Disney's storytelling, adding in their characters or immersive theming. So I'm not going to say that the rooms don't have character in them, right? I mean, the rooms are just cleaner, sleeker, they're more neutral. But personally, I feel like they're a little less magical. But I will stop. I'm going to go ahead and continue on the highlight, and then I will give my true opinion. Over the past couple of years, Disney has refurbished different resorts to feature a more updated, upscale look with like neutral colors, neutral palettes, and they have very subtle nods to the IPs. But they're more durable, right? Like better flooring, etc. So while these updates are often really good quality, they've also gotten a lot of feedback or criticism for toning it down or removing the immersive design elements. So a couple of examples we could go through, like for example, like the Polynesian. So when the Polynesian was first built, there was the tiki carvings, rich wood tones, vibrant island color schemes, and now it's hardwoods. The only person apparently who is in a village is Moana. And so everything is Moana with some subtle touches. So I guess, the debate could be on this. Some like the fresh modern look, but others miss the authentic mid-century Polynesian quiche that sort of made it feel like an old school trip in time, right? We can talk about the contemporaries. So before the sleek retro 1970s mod architecture, it had really bold colors and that Mary Blair art. Now it's still there, the Mary Blair, but the rooms have been overdone with an Incredibles layover, so it has a mid-century look. Again, minimalistic. So a lot of fans, when I went and did research on this, said that the rooms feel kind of like Marriott color red. But they do like the Pixar tie-in, so that's nice. The Grand Floridian obviously used to have plush textures, floor wallpapers, turn of the century feel. Now it's a very subtle Mary Poppins with pastel colors, streamlined finishes. Some think that it's very elegant. I've read online that a lot of also people think that it misses the over-the-top charm. They used to make it feel like you were stepping into a different era. So for me, we could also say Wilderness Lodge, right? It used to have a lot of, the rooms used to have carved wood pieces on the headboards and full blankets that looked quilted, if that makes sense, but they weren't. It just had much more of a rustic feel, and now it's more modern. So I would love to hear from you. How do you feel about these updates? What do you think? Are they getting too generic and not telling enough of a story? I did a full walkthrough at the Wilderness Lodge on my channel here, and I actually did one where I tell you the story of the Wilderness Lodge. So when it first opened, they had a newspaper that actually talked about how these people were adventuring and they explored, and there's a guy who had set off dynamite, which is how the pool was created. It was like a whole elaborate Disney story. And I feel like to someone who would go there, my kids, they wouldn't know that story, right? Like I was there, I think about 2 months, it was June. and I think they opened April-ish. So I think I was about 2 or 3 months after they opened, I visited the Wilderness Lodge, and I remember that was everywhere. There was such storytelling, and how Artist Point was where the artists used to go because it was the highest point and it had the most beautiful scenic views. And I think some of that is lost, and it feels just like a room. Not all of it, because I still think there's a lot of details, but I think that's kind of what people are saying they're missing. So I love that the rooms are a little more modern, a little clean. I would imagine, don't work for housekeeping, but I'd imagine they're probably easier to clean. And that, when you say, okay, well, it's easier to clean, that means then it's faster for us to get our rooms right away when you get there. I think as a whole, I understand why hotels have late check-ins, but I also feel like people aren't getting there that late, right? So a lot of us are kind of hanging out waiting. So I like the idea of easier maintenance on that for the housekeeping. I think that's great, right? I definitely think the subtle IP theming is really nice because it is pretty. I think it gives a nod to the characters. Now I've grown up going to Disney, so I was a Disney kid. I was a Disney teenager. I was a Disney adult, which I am. And, and now I've brought my kids back. So I feel like I don't mind the theming because even though my kids are getting older, like seeing the theming, like if I was to go to Art of Animation, I wouldn't be offended to see a bunch of fish. I'd be like, oh, that's so cute. Like I remember when my kids were little and that was so. So I guess it just depends on what you're used to as your vacation for me. I do like that there's more storage and updated tech, some more outlets, USBs, etc. I like that my TV can connect to my phone. There are times when it's just pouring rain and the kids decide, let's go get some snacks and watch something, and I can put on a movie or something that they want to watch. So some of the things that I don't like, I think that I want more Disney storytelling. I feel like I want to know the folklore of everything. Tell me all. I think some of the rooms feel too generic. They feel like any other hotel I could book outside of Disney. And I want to be in that, what is the right word? The Disney bubble, right? I feel like sometimes there's like very little to connect to the resort's theme or its history. I wish there was more like fun magical surprises. Or I feel like some of the resorts might even be losing some of their identities. I feel like, especially like with you when you talk about like the deluxe hotels, right? So I get that they're trying to appeal to a broader range of high-end travelers, but are they doing that sacrificing those fans who have been there for a long time? I don't know, right? So I guess, I kind of feel like pros and cons to both. I would love to hear from you. What hotels do you feel like they've had some hits, some misses? Again, keep it kind. But I'd love to hear from you and your thoughts about the rebranding on all of these different hotels. Are you enjoying the new, where they've got the Murphy beds everywhere? Are you enjoying the subtle nod to the characters? And again, this can be very different, right? Because if you answer as a Disney adult versus a parent versus a mom with little kids, are you enjoying the way the rooms look? I think about the Disney princess rooms, and they've been redoing all of those and how they were heavily Disneyed, or even like the pirate ones at the Caribbean beach. I think about the parents with the little kids who were like, this is the coolest thing. I can't imagine having, like, I don't have boys, I have girls, but I can't imagine having a little boy who is obsessed, or even my little girl. I mean, for all me, my older one loves pirates, but I would love to have had that opportunity to take them there and it almost be like they were in Pirates, like, especially if that's their thing. Like, that's kind of an interesting thought. So down below, I would love to hear from you. How do you feel about the changes in the Disney rooms? And while we're on it, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of Disney content. I also go to the Wisconsin Dells, which is basically the Wilderness Lodge, but here in Wisconsin. on a grander scale. I also travel around and share videos on that. So if you are looking for Disney content, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're not, please subscribe anyway. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm just teasing with you. But I would love to have you here. Join along. And there is a subscription if you wanted to join. Otherwise, it's also, you can just subscribe for free. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to our final Ears to Debate. All right, our final topic for today is going to be Disney finding that balance between nostalgia and innovation at Walt Disney World. So this one's kind of a big one, right? So it'll be interesting to hear how everyone feels about this. And my plan is to go ahead and continue. So you are going to see down below a form you can fill out if you're interested in actually going on live with me and having this chat and having this debate in front of everyone or having this discussion. I truly feel like it is a ton of fun, and it'll be fun to get more people in this conversation. So for right now, because this is only episode 1, if you would comment down below your thoughts on topic 1, 2, or 3, or on all 3. I love to have these type of discussions. I love to hear your thoughts, and hopefully this podcast is something that will be fun. I'm excited about it. I came up with tons of discussion ideas that we can have, and my goal is to go ahead, and for the first couple, I might just be this format, and then as we go ahead and include more people, I think it will be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and go to that third one. So just like I talked about, that balance between, how do you find that magic between holding on to the history and, you have a ton of people who grew up at Disney and in that Disney world. And so how do they find that delicate balance between honoring the beloved past, but embracing what's new and what's next, right? So Disney World is truly based on the dreams of yesterday, the technology of today, and the promise of tomorrow. But that balance between can feel quite wobbly. And for me personally, I think I feel it sometimes, right? So like, for example, let's talk about some that, have maybe, and some of these, it might stir up your thoughts, and I'd love to hear from you. So comment that down below. I promise I'll watch them and I'll write you back. So for example, like one of the topics might be like, when magic starts to fade, right? So when Muppet Vision 3D in Disney Hollywood Studios, obviously that one hit people pretty hard. Although the show had aged, it still carried the humor, the heart, the fun of Jim Henson's original and very last vision. So for so many people, it wasn't just a theater attraction. It was really a tribute to everything that embodies the Muppets, right? So it was like a whole celebrated moment of Disney sponsoring a Muppets moment with, gags and goofiness and silliness. So I feel like at the closure of that, it was really the end of that attraction. It symbolized kind of a slow fade of that type of Muppet storytelling that I don't know if it's replaceable, right? Like, I don't know if the Muppets move somewhere else, will it have the same heart? Will it have the same feel? I mean, we all know the characters. I mean, well, at least adults do. Kids don't anymore, which is part of the reason, unfortunately, that the Muppets started to fade. It's an interesting moment, right? Now, on the flip side, right, there's always progress. So Disney isn't stopping, right? So there's Tron Light Cycle. There's the Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Galaxy's Edge. These are bold, thrilling steps forward. The company is investing in immersive storytelling, new technology, characters for all. We're living in a time when Disney Vacation can mean piloting the Millennium Falcon, or drinking blue milk, or joining a Mardi Gras river adventure led by a princess who built her own dream. These are powerful additions. They're fresh, they're new, and they're alive. So I guess the question isn't that Disney should or could they or will they innovate? They have to, right? So, even Walt Disney said the parks would never be completed. But what happens when new erases old or it builds from it? So, I think that there's room for both. So, example, like you could go and fly the Millennium Falcon and you could ride Peter Pan's Magical Flight, right? You could go to Moana at Epcot and learn about the water, but then you could go to a nostalgic Country Bear show and they can coexist. So, I guess the question I have for all of you here is, at what cost does progress come, right? Can we innovate without losing too much magic? How do we find that middle ground between the two? I think Country Bears is a great example. I think that even Pirates, I even want Pirates to go farther. I absolutely loved the trilogy turned into +2 or +1 with Jack Sparrow and everything like that. I loved it. And when they added him at first, I was like, I don't know, this is not going to be right. But now I can't imagine him not being there, right? When they changed out the redhead, I was like, I don't know, the redhead's got to stay. Now, I think they changed the content of it. I mean, so to go old school here, right? Like, I remember as a kid when the pirates actually chased the women, right? So for me, I feel like there have been a lot of things that have updated and changed, but I'm not upset about them. I think that like a thing like innovating to monsters in Hollywood studios. I mean, I still want to call it MGM Studios. But when I think about monsters coming to Hollywood studios, I think that's awesome. I'm excited for it. I feel like if they wanted to continue moving forward, and this might not be a popular opinion, but I think if they wanted to keep moving forward with the Muppets the way they did, I think more people, they need to reinvest. And I know they've tried to do some stuff like on Disney Plus, and for some reason it's just not gravitating to the kids. And I don't know what it is, right? I don't know why. I think, I love all of them. I mean, my favorite Muppet, I absolutely love Gonzo's chicken. She is my favorite. I think she is adorable. Even to the point where I love when I go on Pirates of the Caribbean. Here's a good challenge for you. Next time you go on Pirates of the Caribbean, see if you can count how many chickens there are. There's a lot. So, I mean, it's an interesting thought, but I think, we keep moving forward. We continue to build. I understand, that they have to continue to evolve and change. I still am a bigger fan. Now, I have not ridden the new Tiana's Bayou ride. I have not ridden that yet. So I've only been on Splash Mountain, but I've been on that ride many, many times. So I don't know how I feel about it yet because I haven't ridden it. Now, I've seen plenty of POVs and I've watched them on YouTube. And I think it looks good, right? It looks good, but I don't know how it feels. And that it's an interesting. So if you know how to sew, for example, and for all these people that lost like Joanne fabrics, right? Here's an example for you. So here's an analogy. So all these people lost Joanne fabrics, and I think what people don't realize is that to the home sewer, they like to go in and touch the fabric and be immersed in it and feel it and see how it looks in their hand and if it's the right color before they buy it to cut it. Because once you cut fabric, it's yours. You can't return it. So I think that's kind of how we feel about Disney, right? Like, I think that some of these rides, until you experience them, you might be like, I don't know, not loving that, and I think once you go on it, you might go, I have a different feeling because maybe of a conversation you had or a moment in time, because truly going to Disney, at least for me, I don't know about you, is all about those memories that I had as a child or that I've had with people that I love that have passed, or raising my own children going there and going, oh, for example, Animation Studio, when they had that at Hollywood Studios, MGM, they used to have where you could go on an animation tour, and we were waiting because at one point they had the Incredibles in there, and we were waiting to meet them. And my little one hadn't started walking, and it started to rain, and they said, well, you can come in and wait in here, and it'll be about a half an hour before the characters come out. And I'm like, okay, no worries. And so my husband and I sat on the floor, and we were playing with her. And I said, I kind of looked at him like, I think she wants to walk. And he was like, here? And I said, maybe. And so we sort of, sat foot to foot and had her in the middle, and our arms, we could touch her hands. So literally she wasn't even really walking. She was kind of like back and forth. And I remember a cast member came over and was kind of like, can I have your camera? And I said, yes, please. And so we have pictures of the first time she walked because an amazing cast member, saw what we were doing and just thought it was such a moment that they captured it. So I feel like that's sort of where all this, I feel so compelled to keep this, or I don't want to lose that, because it's that nostalgia of when I was in the animation building, this is what happened there, and I had that moment. So I question, and what I want you guys to think about, and I'd love to hear from you. How do you find that middle ground? What attractions or things do you miss that were maybe part of a specific ride or a piece of something? Or I'd love to hear, what innovation wowed you? Like you were like, this is going to be terrible. And you went there and you went, okay, this is totally better than what I thought. So this one's a little more open. You're probably going to have your Figment people that are going to talk about the original version of the ride. We may talk about Pirates. We may talk about Splash Mountain. But I'd love to hear from you. How do you feel when Disney says we're changing something? I don't want to, let's put a Band-Aid on it, but we could say, the Lily Bell and Tom Sawyer Island, right? So that is going to be a huge change. And I think for a lot of people, it's going to almost be like they've lost something or someone, right? Because you were always so used to, I don't know about you, but I have a ton of family pictures in front of that boat, in front of that river. And when everything got stressful at Disney, I didn't go to Tom Sawyer Island very often because I didn't like that I could only take a raft and I had to wait. But I would constantly go on that little walkway by the water, and we would kind of just hang out there because it was kind of away from the crowds, but it gave you a place to relax. So, how do we find that middle ground? And you can talk about any of these, so I'll comment with you. So for me, I'm kind of excited. Like when it comes to this, I'm excited for updates and changes. We went out to Disneyland for the last 2 years, and there are moments where I feel like Disneyland has done more evolving that I would love to see Disney World continue to move forward on. And I know probably not the popular opinion. I'm sorry. I'm going to miss the riverboat. I'm going to miss seeing Tom Sawyer Island, but I'm really excited to see what, I don't know if I want to call it Cars Land, right? Because it's not really what it is, but like Piston Peak or whatever they're calling it. I'm excited for that. Like, I'm excited to see, are they going to have sort of a throwback? Because Disney, again, they are good at storytelling. So maybe somewhere you're going to see some Tom Sawyer-y things, or Lily Bell, or, the River Bell, or whatever it might be. You might see some of those moments come back. So I feel excited about it. I'm not looking forward to the next, 2 years of seeing like big blocked off things like what Epcot was for a long time. I'm not looking forward to that. But I am excited to see what new adventure that Disney's going to take us on. And the thing is this, Disney is a huge company. They are a huge corporation. And the idea that, they're continuing to evolve, they're not just relying on the rides of the past. I think that has something to be said about it. So, with that being said, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about our 3 topics today? How does one of them stand out to more than the other ones. So example, so topic 1, again, we talked about was the mobile ordering. Number 2, we talked about adjusting refurbishments to the different hotels. So are they too streamlined? And our third one we talked about today was being able to find that middle ground between keeping Disney World nostalgic, but also innovating and creating new things. So I would love to hear from you down below. Please comment, please subscribe, share your thoughts. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and your feelings on this. I think this is going to be fun. My goal is I will have a podcast schedule for Ears to Debate very soon. And I'm excited for that as well. I think this is going to be a fun way to, just talk through Disney, right? Talk about it. And, eventually maybe I won't have 3 topics. Maybe eventually it'll go to one long 1-hour show with topics that way. It's still fluid. It's still innovating itself as well. So it hasn't really been completely fleshed out yet, but that's what I'm excited about, to have you here on episode 1 so that you can help me continue to evolve and grow this podcast. So as I wrap this up completely, I want to say this. So as I wrap up the show, Ears to Debate, episode 1, I want to leave you with this. Disney is more than just a brand. To me, I feel like it is a collection of memories. It's a collection of moments. It's a collection of milestones that kind of tie us all together. So, my grandmother took me there. My mother went there many times. It was one of her favorite places to go. And I have those memories. And I would imagine it's the same for you. Some of us grew up holding on to our little Figment plushies. Some people remember that very first definitely hard-hitting laugh the first time you saw Muppet Vision. Some of these things, they're just so important because they matter. Not because they're old, but they become part of our personal story. At the same time, thinking about Disney World, now again, we're just talking Disney World. I do plan on expanding this to other things, but today's show is all about Disney World. It's about allowing them to grow and expand and try new voices and new stories. I think of Rapunzel and Flynn, right? What's my new dream? Walt Disney, when people say, oh, Walt Disney was this or that, I think for me, what I think about from him was that he just was a dreamer. He had ideas and was like, don't forget to dream about what's next, and I think even in our own personal lives, right? The thing is that the real magic is is with you, right? It's you who brings this magic to these parks or these moments. It's the, amazing cast members that bring that magic to you. It's the documentation of your memories. It's, the storytelling that you do about their stories. Just like I did today. So the thing is that we can honor the charm of the past while embracing the thrill of the future. And I can tell you there are moments that I'm very sad about things I miss. Like, for example, I'll throw this out there, see if anybody remembers. Pocahontas had her own breakfast for a while. John Smith, Miko, and Governor Radcliffe were there, and it was at the Wilderness Lodge. It was the coolest thing ever. So while I can be sad that that's gone, I can celebrate that there's new things just around the river bend, right? Because loving Disney doesn't mean that you have to love every decision. It just means that we care and we enjoy it. And why? Because it's a place where we can go and be a kid again. It's a place where we can go with our kids, with our family. We can embrace the memories our parents remember of us as children. And to me, I think that means a lot. I'm not going to get emotional on podcast 1, although I'll tell you, maybe we'll get into that. We'll see someday. But what I'd love to see is that we go ahead and continue to have these conversations. So with curiosity and kindness and a little sparkle of sass if needed, go ahead and share your thoughts down below on nostalgia, innovation, what you'd love to see next in the park, or any of our 3 topics today. And then I will add that form in so that if you are interested in being a guest on a future episode, that would be amazing. But until next time, keep your ears open, your heart full, and your opinions are ready to go. This is Ears to Debate, where magic meets conversation. Thank you again for watching episode 1. My name is Jessica Lynn, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care, everybody.